Hey, hi. Welcome to this Global Hack Week. We're on the last day, so tomorrow we'll be having the closing ceremony. Um, just let me make sure of that. Yeah, we have closing ceremony tomorrow, 12. I'm not sure if it is PM or EM. I think it's PM. No, I think it's AM. Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's 12 a.m. at the time, right? So, welcome back to this session. And this will be the first part of a series of two that I'll be calling contributing to your to your favorite open source project. And I see we have second star from India. So amazing. I am Alberto and I am from Mexico. So I be very pleased to give you this session today. And let me start sharing my screen. Also, I don't have my regular setup, so I am trying to get used to watching the other screen. I do get the other screen to monitor the comments. So anytime that you want, leave a comment. I'll be reading that, and I'll be trying to be on top of what's happening here on the stream, right? If anything, just let me know. Plus, remember to check in to this event, and well, that's all. Now, let's start sharing the screen. And this is the one I want to share. Let me add it. At the stage. Perfect. So I also noticed that my internet right now it's kind of slow. So again, if anything during stream, just let me know. Right? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Let me move this, and I'll be that. Contributing to your favorite open source project. This is for Global Hack Week. I'm Alberto Camarena. I already introduced myself. So we can start with this. The main goal of this session is to understand the workflow of how to contribute to a project. In this case, I have the specific example of doing it to MARPit, World MARP, well, MARP ecosystem, which is a tool I am going to in a little bit. But the idea is so you can understand any project that you want in the future that's open source, so you can start contributing. I will show you how I'll do this. This will be full live coding, so um, just a minimum of slides at the beginning, but don't worry, we'll get through that. And well, that's it. So the first step will be like understanding the project, right? The project structure, review models it has. It depends again a lot of the project, a lot of the language, a lot of many parameters, but make a deep understanding of what the project is. So this is why um, sorry, I received the message, but I think it was extremely related. But don't worry. This is why I call this your favorite open source project, because in other sessions, I give you alternatives and tools and pages and a lot of resources for you to find a project to contribute and how you can contribute to them. In this specific session, you should already be thinking of one project. You're not there yet? Well, don't worry. Watch the stream. There's always the recording, so you can watch it later again when you need it. But this focus is for when you already have a project in mind and it is your favorite one. Well, it doesn't have to be your favorite one, but it is one that you like a lot, right? So in this case, I wanted to do this to MARP because it's a tool I've been using a lot. Actually, if you've been following my streams lately, from I think 3 or 4 Global Hack Weeks ago, I started created here these slides with that tool. So if you realize, I'm using Marpit to create these slides to make the session on how to contribute to MARP. So full open source here. Saying that, it's that I already was familiar with the tool. I needed to go review what the project is and how to contribute, and I have did a lot of research. But I already knew the tool. I am already a user of that, um, so I can understand if there's a problem, identify the feature gaps, for example. If I can fix something that's broken, or I can enhance something that's already working, but it could be better. I don't know, something like that. And then I select the target task. In this example, I have already a target task that I want to take a look at, but we'll be exploring more, right? So I also want to repeat a little bit of the last session of working with artificial intelligence in open source, which is another stream I gave yesterday. But we will be recovering a little bit of one of those tools. Um, the full session is available if you want to check it out. Which stream do we watch to get the list of projects? The second part of the stream I called uh, Open Source with AI. In that session, I talked about a lot of resources on how to get your contributions if you don't have a project yet. So I show you many pages that listed by issue, by label, by a lot of things, a lot of projects that can be contributed. I mean, that are open source, right? In that series, also in the first part, I show you how to do small contributions and how to use artificial intelligence for doing really simple tasks. And in the third session of that, we did some more complicated contributions using the tool I'm going to reuse now, which is Forky. Actually, I just received like an hour ago the message from the author that my pull requests were merged, so we can review that right now to see how we did make a change here. And well, thank you for asking. Next, we need to make the research and start making the setup for contributing, right? So the first step in many projects, it's for you to fork and clone the repository of the project you're working on. In this case, I already selected again MARP, but you can select the favorite project that's in your mind, right? I don't know, it could be TypeScript. It could be if you're more advanced, like I mean, advanced in the matter of you're already using artificial intelligence libraries like PyTorch and so on. That's what I mean with advanced, because it requires a little bit more knowledge. But yeah, you can do these pull requests, well, the contributions to whatever project you want. For you make the local build or the setup for your project, then you get your hands on the implementation. You can use many tools for this. We talked about this and the session I mentioned about AI, but here it's the two tools I'll be using today: GitHub Copilot in web and in this in Visual Studio Code, and Forky, which is the platform we visit, and I talked about this. Don't worry, I can explain a little bit of the project again, but that will be more quicker than that we did yesterday. To help plan and scaffold these contribution tasks, these two tools are amazing. They are so great. And finally, I won't say finally, because this probably will be, and now I think of this, the first step, uh, documenting yourself about the contribution guidelines, the code of conduct, and the style guides if the project has it. If they don't have, okay, you're kind of you have more room to start going through that, right? So finally, I'll just say that there are communication available for you. You can use the issues if you open an issue on the repo and start talking about this. Pull request, you make a pull request, you receive updates on that. Normally, I have to admit it, this process can take up to weeks. I mean, like weeks, for not saying even months. I've seen cases that they are even years for creating and merging and doing a contribution. But I don't want to scare you. Remember, all of us have lives. All of us have different things that are our main preoccupations or main concerns. So probably the maintainer of the project that you want to work on, if you don't receive a reply soon enough, it's doing other stuff, right? And don't worry, you can always fork it and work on based on your implementations, on your features, on your improvements, on your enhancements, right? And I see that happening a lot. That's a thing. It has to be said. Um, Sometimes a project it's just too great, but the maintainer does not give it the enough time. So community starts working with a fork of that, right? So it's normal to say it somehow. Um, so how you can measure your success between quotes again with these metrics? You have a number of pull requests merged. I mean, you just not did the pull request, but it did not get accepted. You get ghost, like the one example we were talking about, or you simply do pull request by doing pull request. That's not the number. It has to be merged, right? We receive positive feedback for the maintainers. Remember, not all contributions are pull requests. Some contributing starts even with the idea, so you can start making open source just by starting conversations, giving ideas, reporting books, a lot of things like that, right? So you receive this positive feedback about the maintainers. That's another success metric. And the final part, I explained it here as contribution to documentation improvements. But what I want to say with this, it's you really see that the tool you're using, the tool you like, the tool you're trying to enhance, it gets better, right? That's the main idea and the main purpose of this, right? You're just not doing this for being top star GitHub. What to say? A GitHub star? Yeah, maybe you are, and it has a lot of benefits to contribute to open source, right? But the main idea here for the session, I want to say it's that the success metric. It's that the tool you're trying to make better, it gets better, right? Simple as that. So I'm going to start contributing to MORP. Let's open this link and let's see what I'm talking about, right? MARP, if you didn't get this or you don't know what MARP is, well, it's a Markdown presentation ecosystem. Simple as that. I really love Markdown. I have done vlogs with Markdown. I think that's one of the very first projects that I worked on learning next. I don't know if that's part of the documentation anymore, but using one parser called gray matter, I was able to just generating blog post through markdown files, and I think they are great. I'm not sure right now that's the best practice, but it was really handy when I was learning, right? And at the moment I enjoy a lot creating these simple but efficient, if I allow me to say that, slides for these sessions. So it don't take that much time. I'm focused on staying simple. I don't add like super detailed illustrations or frames or templates or whatever to the slides. I just take a template. I keep it simple. I probably want to add more manually hacking stuff to that. I will like to do that, but what I mean here is Marbit's just a tool I come very handy with for generating these slides. Also, if we start scrolling, we can see that it has a lot of integrations that are great, beautiful slide decks using intuitive Markdown experience. I have Markdown experience. We as developers, I think all of all of us, it doesn't matter the language you use, you can get this Markdown experience, right? Because for making things look pretty in your readmes in GitHub in general in life, Markdown it's really simple, right? Um, so this presentation slides ecosystem provides an intuitive experience creating beautiful slide decks. You only have to focus on writing your story in Markdown document. I agree with that. It's based on more common Markdown because there are different flavors of Markdown. Actually, there's the GitHub flavor one. I don't know if they are like fully compatible, but hey, we can make it be in a pull request, right? There are directives and extended syntax, so I'm thinking it is. We can export to HTML, PDF, or even directly with PowerPoint. I don't have PowerPoint installed in my computer. I think that's part of the past. I don't know. I just simple don't want to get that space in my computer. I just, for example, this one here, I have the HTML file and I'm showing it directly on the web browser because it's already built in and I already have a web browser, right? Why having another application for that? We have built-in themes and CSS theming. I was wondering, it depends on the time that we have, but I think we have a lot of time. We can build ourselves a theme for this and then trying to share with the community, right? More Family, the official toolset, pluggable architecture, fully open source. There are some tools in the integrations, the tool for VS Code, the CLI, and two other for developers, which is the core and the Marpit framework. This is the skinny framework for creating slide deck using HTML and CSS. Well, I think this one's for JavaScript, right? So I selected this one. Actually, I normally use day by day these other tools, the one for VS Code, the one from CLI. But to be honest, I couldn't find any ideas on how to contribute to this. I went to the issues, I start looking for them. I maybe started with creating like a feature request, but I don't know, like I don't want to say they are perfect, but they are really good. For this Morbid framework, I found some interesting issues that we can contribute to, right? So let's go to the GitHub. And this is the base repo. This is the ecosystem, right? Your presentation with plain Markdown repo. Marp family, it has all the things we mentioned, the Marpit, the Marp core, the skinny framework for creating slides deck from Markdown. Uh, we can open that. And we have the documents here. So Marpit framework for creating selected for Markdown. It can transform Markdown and CSS themes to selected composed by static HTML and CSS and create web pages by convertible into slide PDF by printing. Features, we have extended several features into Markdown 8, blah blah blah. Inline SG, it's still experimental, and how to get started. We use this. There is some use case. How to Marpit from the Marpit team, FS, the file system, create an instance of that, the one we explore, add the theme to this. This is a custom theme. Marpit themes at default, we add it, and then we render the markdown, right? So in the site template literals, we are just adding these as if it were a markdown file. We also can download that directly from the file system. Then we render that markdown. We set like, okay, we save it to another, I mean like this is the same constant, so we just pass it through the render function to Marp, and then we get the HTML and CSS. And finally, we use the output as this, right? As simple as that. Any questions? Okay, perfect. I think you don't have. The author of this, of course, it's the creator, Ayat. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but yes. So this is really simple, right? This is the most simple one, I think. For example, the Marp core is kind of a little bit more complex. Oh no, these are the themes that are part of the built-in themes. We can select the how to say this page size. Yeah. So these are the defaults, custom color. This is one can Gaia. These are class color schemes, custom colors on cover, custom colors, a lot of things like that. I don't want to share that. There are the apps, the Marp CLI, and the integration for VS Code. Ecosystem, Mark Ecosystems has a lot of cool stuff, making awesome presentations. We are going to check this list in a second, but hey, these are the ones that we care about the contribution guidelines, and we care about this a lot, right? There are some personal sponsors, organization sponsors, and well, I think that's it. Um, cool. So let's go to the MARP team base without not MARP, I mean, and we can find the repositories for this. We have MARP core. It's the core MARP converter. Let's open the repo. We have the repo for the BS code tool, the CLI, MARPit, the skinny framework for creating a slide deck, uh, the MARP web. This is a public. This presentation is right. Okay, this is not used anymore. MARP CLI transition gives generator, the .github, common resources for MARP team GitHub repositories, some actions, awesome MARP. This is the list. Let's check uh, GitHub awesome MARP. This awesome MARP. So before I continue, take a look to the path here. So we have a .github repository, not a folder, that it's from the source of this. So it depends a lot on the organization. If you want to do things like this, and it's totally valid, I think it's very, very clever. For example, the first stream I gave for this Global Hack Week was about creating a template that you could use to then generate all your projects for making them open source. In that template, there was a .github folder. Yes, the same .github folder that contains the actions, for example, for making CI/CD integrations. Well, the author decided that if all the projects of these ecosystem are going to have the same contributing guidelines, the same code of conduct, even maybe the same license, why don't have a GitHub page? So in this, we can have all the shared um, setup and files and all the necessary information. So we have the issues template, the code of conduct, the contributing, the funding, the license, the README, and support, and even an architecture SVG. In the README, here we have the repository includes the common resource for all the MARP team. Author and the license finally. It's simple as that, right? So yes, I find this really, really clever. Instead of having a mono repo, you have multiple repositories for our organization, right? So that's the MARP team. Amazing. I just simply find it amazing. So let's go ahead again to the contributing. Let's put this aside. I'm kind of having lag. Maybe, well, this session is the first one, so we are going to have another session just right after this one. Uh, that will be insane, yes, but there will be a lot of coding for us today. So I will try to end this session a little bit sooner, just to have time to reboot my computer because I feel it really slow right now. Then we can start session two, right? But that's it. So, awesome MARP. This is a list. Create a list of awesome things relating to MARP. Let's take a look to that also. Create a list of awesome things related to MARP, the ecosystem, the themes, the plugins, some examples. The ecosystem, the official ecosystem, it's MARP, the Entrace website of MARP ecosystem, the GitHub repository of the MARP website, the GitHub discussions, the discussion forum about MARP ecosystem, the MARPit framework. This is the one we talked about. The MARP core, the MARP CLI, and the MARP VS Code. Again, we can take a look at all of them, but I found two interesting things to do in this too. So Let's keep exploring because remember, if we return to our slides, the first thing we need to do is understand the project, review all its models. In this case, there are a lot of clicks because we have separate things in separate repos, but you can talk them about being models, being different tools, being different, etc., etc. Right? In this case, we are taking a look to different repos. The community part, it says, for example, there's a plugin for Obsidian. If you're Obsidian fans, that you can integrate that directly. There is also yet another plugin for Obsidian. I don't know why there are two. Probably they don't have that conversation, or they have like different opinions at some point. So take a look at both, right? So another extension for Jupyter Lab, I think that it's awesome. Actually, I haven't tried it, but I think I will. Well, I don't use that much Jupyter Labs. Maybe making one for co collaboratory. Yeah, I was thinking about the name. Yeah, MARP editor for standard nodes, Growy, a Markdown collaboration software including Mark support. Um, Amazing. There are other themes, the MARP core building themes, a documentation for MARP core build themes, MARP community themes, a curation side of MARP themes, MARP template library, yet another curation side of MARP themes. Um, there are some community themes that are worth seeing. Some plugins, the one for NPM, and well, there are two for NPM, a list of publishable as the MARC plugin, a list of published Markdown it plugin. Uh, but yeah, compatible Markdown it plugins, some examples. Markdown CLI example, automation with GitHub pages versus Netlify by the Mark maintainer. So we can take a look at this. Community examples, deploy MARP to GitHub pages, pay the template repository for deploying MARP slide to GitHub pages. So this community example, I think that we can find that's interesting too. There are many other repositories. They have many followers, but yet I think we can close this one here. For example, in this organization, there is only one people, the same Yuki Hattori, that was the creator. So that's why I found it really interesting. We can close this. Let's take a look to the Marpsila example. Open the Visual Studio Code, then starter example using MARP VSCLI, write your slide deck by Markdown, manage the content of slides using Git, host your deck at GitHub and publish a web page with GitHub Pages, Netlify, and Vercel. Blazingly fast, deliver out of the box, acquire all 100% Lighthouse scores. MARP slide example, hosting MARP slide deck on the web. So the published slide deck, it's here on Vercel and Netlify, and currently in Lighthouse. If you don't know what Lighthouse is, it's a tool for checking the performance of web pages. It has all performance correct. It's surprisingly easy to start publishing your slide deck, but I don't know what should I want to deploy my slide deck. How to write, just edit, pitch me, preview via CLI, npm run start, npm run build, license. A lot of years ago. So let's open the provided, publish. Okay, yeah. Mark plus CLI plus GitHub Pages, or Netlify, or Vercel. The easy ways to host your slide on the web, GitHub Pages ready to write and host your deck. Use this as template, deploy to Netlify, deploy to Vercel, and that's just it. Interesting. So I want to take the PageMe.markdown. If we see the code, we have the metadata here. This it's very important. We set the marp tool as true. We give some examples. This marp title, it's the one appearing, for example, here on my slides in this really small part of there. Description, theme, transition fade, and paginate true. That's perfect. So this part of the template, then we add the content, host marp slides on the web. Okay, this is just the content of the markdown file. So where do you get the automation? That's an interesting thing to know. Maybe from the GitHub Actions. So remember, the actions are here on GitHub folder, but we can also come here to the actions. And let's explore what they do. npm and yarn update. Well, all of these were dependable. GitHub pages. So skip insulating, use enable. Okay, I think I better do check the .gitme file. Gitme, the GitHub, sorry. Here on workflows. Let's take a look to the workflows. So there's the GitHub pages YAML. So on the push to the master, we deploy these GitHub pages. We do the checkout. We do some installations, install dependencies. Probably here on the dependencies, it's the marp CLI. Then we run build, and that's just it. Upload packs with the artifact. We probably store the resulting file. It's simple as that. Then I should check the package.json to see what that start script is and what the dependencies are for this project. Great, so the script says that build, it's rimref public and npm run og image. Whoa, no, still, okay. Og image, so there's marp with a pitchme.me, and it generates the public image, and npm run the deck. So it does a lot of things. It runs rimref. which I'm not sure what it is. Then it generates the image using the MARP CLI, and finally it generates the slide deck again using the MARP CLI, right? And that's the thing we publish to the Vercel, sorry, to GitHub's pages, and that's it. That's interesting, but I don't know. I don't want to deploy my slides or my slide deck, but hey, we are getting familiar with the tools, right? So nothing here. Mark to pages. Deploy Mark to GitHub pages. Presentation to web instantly. What? Let's generate slides. Why? Treat your presentation the same way you treat your code. Uh, 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 Configure GitHub pages. Review builds. View web page. Blah blah blah. Run locally or yes, we can do this as workflow step. Customize the build. Learn about more about Marked. This is a good time to learn about Marked. Here's some resource, common mark, cheat sheet, sample sites. Huh. Publish your slides. Hurrah. Okay. Interesting. I'm thinking of an idea, not right now, but for the future. My usual workflow is I generate the slides, I generate, I create the Markdown file, then I generate the HTML one and the PDF. The HTML one for me to present like right here during the session, and the PDF for you to download from the repo, right? And generating those two, I do with the MARP CLI, but I'm thinking that probably I can add an action on Google that I don't need to generate them for myself. I just add the slide markdown and then I push that to the GitHub repository for any case, and then that action generates a link for that specific repo and makes the publish for that GitHub page. I don't know, maybe that could be a nice thing, but I think it's not that much work, but that it's also not that much value. What do you think? Would you appreciate if I in the future just share the repo, and in the repo you don't have just to download a PDF, but you can directly click on the link and see the slide deck? I don't know. It is not to me for decide. It's for you, community. Please tell me if you like that. I probably make that possible. Uh, so we can close these mark to pages and these. Okay, the awesome list still open. I think it's worth the core. Let's inspect how this uh, works inside, right? A lot of TypeScript, CSS in uh, SAS, I think. No, this is not SAS. What's the word for this? I can't remember. Let's take a look to this. I mean, it's CSS, but what was the name of this frame? Okay, it doesn't matter. Less SAS. I'm not sure right now. SCSS. I need to get that out of my head. SCSS. SAS. Yeah, it's SAS. Okay. I was scared because there's another one called um, less CSS. No, but it was another. Okay, it doesn't matter. Well, the point is that's just for styling, right? So the core MARP converter, in order to use MARP tools, we have extended from the Slightly framework using MARPit. You can use the practical Markdown syntax, advanced features, and official themes. And that's just for installing. Usage, we provide the MARP class inherit from MARPit. Yep. So the understanding here is that in order to use MARP tools like the full MARP, we have extended from their slide deck framework MARPit. You can use the practical Markdown systems, advanced features, and the official themes. So these in this point they do the same, but Morbid it's lightweight and it just contains the formatter to HTML and CSS. In this one, it's the full right features. We only explain feature extended in MARP core. Please refer to MARPit framework if you want to know the basic features. So the MARP core feature it's the Markdown, a custom Markdown framework based on Markit and Common Markdown. Um, so I was saying this again, like there are different flavors of Markdown, but um, but these are different per project, right? So no worries. I'm really sure that at least the base common one it's going to work for you all. Marpit enabled inline SVG slides, CSS container querying, and loose YAML processing by default. These are part of the Marpit framework flavor, sorry, and the common markdown it's the same as we'll think it is. Built in official teams, so it has official teams in the. I think I close it. Oh, but yes, and here in this example, for example, we had to build, for example, uh, it was SAS CSS. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So in the example here for Marpit, since this is lightweight, it does not contain the default or yeah the built-in themes. So this has to be created by us with the CSS apply theme here. In the core, it contains the official between quotes again because they're official just because the author selected them built-in themes, right? But I think we can extend also the community ones. So we have things like size, global reactive. We have things like the emoji support, math type settings, um, support for many other things, auto scaling. Well, the four functionalities of what I just told you, right? For what I show you CatX matblock. This, for example, if you're familiar with LaTeX, with that pronunciation, it's kind of the interpreter of how we translate things like plain text. I don't know if there's an example here. Yeah, this, for example, these ones here into mathematical formulas like these ones here, right? So this is in code, this is the output, and that's what MATEC is for, or CATEC, the LaTeX, and there are many others. I don't know fully the difference between them, but I know that I tried to. Well, since I didn't want them to pay for Overleaf, I did created one server myself that made that uh, parsing from text from yeah from uh, tech code to plain uh, PDFs, right? And that's it. So there are some construction or options, things that we don't see here. For example, we just build the Marpit instance of it, and here we pause, or we can pause a lot of options, right? The HTML, some emojis, the mat catech, the minify CSS, the scripts, and etc. The options can be HTML through its default, and false I'll accept HTML except support in Marpit Markdown will be disallowed. Um, so this is, I want to clarify, not the output. So this not means we are going to output it as HTML. This is not the step for that. But remember, in Markdown, it has support. It depends on the flavor, but it has support for HTML. So this is what it is. Setting whether to render raw HTML in Markdown. It's an alias to markdown.html, Markdown it option, but it has additional features about HTML allow list. So default, it's yes. What else? Let's start seeing the emoji detection object. Things like these are going to be rendered in these. Uh, there are another ones that are to emoji. This is going to be different. These are the ones from Twitter, I'm guessing. Uh, or we can use both, right? So contributing again, we are reaching this part. So we already take a look to core. We already take a look to some examples, to the community, to the market. I think we already covered then the understanding of the project, right? So next step, it's identify these feature gaps. Um, at some point I thought about, for example, in the I will show you, for example, this is the regular Google folder, right? I create a slide folder in the project I work on. I create a slides markdown file. So I set up a lot of things. This is the one that I was showing to you right now. So I say mark true, theme default, the pagination it's true, the footer it's these contributing to your favorite projects, open source, blah blah, mainly hacking, the size. Then I give the separation between slides are given by these dash dash dash, uh, and these are my slides. Simple as that, right? Then I used to add this README for you to generate them if you want that. So I'm using MARP CLI to generate slides from Markdown files. If you want to generate the slides, you can be used by the following comments. And in the bash, MARP slides blah blah blah, or via npm or exec. npm exec without installing MARP CLI globally. So I just did that, this directly. I said npx use this package to generate the first input is the file of Markdown, and the output should be to HTML. So this parses it. In addition, the VS Code extension format can be used to provide the slides in the editor, right? Um, this was the first version I met, and then, for example, this Visual Studio Code I installed for making easier to debug. So I opened that with Open Preview, and if you have your extension installed, you are going to realize, oh my god, I'm so sorry, uh, that it's separated as if they were slides, right? Not just plain HTML. Sorry, I know, not just plain Markdown. I can put them aside, and I can even take in which slide I'm stepped on, right? That's that's great. That was the integration. But I thought, hey, what if I want to to export this directly here without using CLI. That could be a great feature. I want to do that. Then I started investigating and doing research about if there were related issues, blah blah blah, and I came up with this. It's already here, but it's not in the preview. It's in the file indeed. So if I open this markdown file, I see this button here. That's the MARP uh, logo. So I can open this and I can hit export slide deck. And I can select if I wanted PDF, HTML, PowerPoint, a PNG, or a JPEG, right? I didn't know this. I think it's kind of hidden. And I don't know. I not that a big fan that it's not a button of export or a file with an arrow going out of it or whatever. I kind of feel it's not intuitive to see the MARP logo here, and I just click it. So that was my idea for a contribution, but that's why you have to investigate a lot. Right here, for example, you can also hit the open preview on the side. This is what we have here, and the normal tools for Git, right? uh, so it's interesting. It's interesting. I want to say how uh, we can came up with an idea, but we do need to think a lot for what we are trying to do here. Um, it was just an example. Here, for example, in the README, we can do the same. We can export this using MARP, but it won't be generating as slides, right? And in the preview, this is not a slides. This is the regular markdown of all life. So I don't know, maybe reading the file and detecting, like, for example, if this is format to be a markdown slide, then it makes sense. If not, I'm sorry, it then why showing this option here, right? So you can start thinking of the tool you use on your regular workflows, on the what could be better, what could be improved, a lot of them. But also another thing that's worth doing, it's go to the repo and start reading the discussion, start reading the issues that people already raised, right? So what you think about it? So first step, what you think about the project, what could it be better? If you found something and no one else has talked about it, and how you realize no one else has talked about it, you go to discussions. But in either case, you have an idea or you don't have an idea, the second step will be go to discussions, right? So here you open and which discussions? Well, here there are many projects again. So there are uh, many repositories, issues, and discussions we can check about. So let's start again first with the core, then the CLI, and finally the Marpit framework, and then the Mart. So I show you my day-to-day use of this tool. I walk through to my process of thinking what feature could be great, how can I make this tool be better, and the last thing I realized that was the feature that feature already existed when I was checking these discussions, and I didn't like how it was implemented, so I would just like add the suggestion. Okay, that's not the thing. I like it. I think this is kind of hidden because of this and this and this and this, uh, etc. Right. So here on the MARP core, actually I think we should start not with CLI, not with this. Oh yes, I can close this. Yeah, even either with the core or the CLI. So in the core, we see there is 12 issues. So short list to take a look at it. We are going to be checking the contribution guidelines. Don't worry. But here, for example, use color scheme property and light dark function to define invert color scheme in built-in themes. This could be an enhancement. So it was open on March 20. Let's take a look to this more deeply to see what's happening here in this discussion. So MARP cores built-in themes have used the invert class to change colors for dark mode. However, this approach is a bit difficult to overload styles and adapt the color scheme to the view's system preferences. Just to let you know, Martin has thought it would be better to avoid using media prefers column scheme dark in the MARP slides. If used, the result of conversion of Markdown will be different depending on the viewer. However, if the slide author want to use a dynamic color scheme on slides, it is depending to a viewer. That it's depending to a viewer. We think there is also no need to prevent them from doing so. So proposal. So this is a little bit context of the motivation. I think this is a great. If it's from template, it's a great template. Proposal. The latest baseline 2024 browsers support the light dark function to easily define the color pair for light and dark mode, and the color scheme CSS support to property to specify the color scheme which want to use in the root element and its children. There's the web page related that support this assessment. I'm guessing this is yeah, this is the explanation he just gave on how to use it. This is the result, like dark, light, and dark, right? So I'm guessing this is based on user preferences. This is fully light, this is fully dark. So let me see if I can change. Um, um, well, I don't want to. Same as here, right? System preferences, and my system preferences right now, because it's late, it's dark. So we can close this. We can continue reading. This proposal will update how to define the set of color scheme for built-in themes. We will use the like dart function to define the color pair, blah blah blah. After, so we get the idea here, right? Then adopt a dynamic color scheme depending on the viewer. This was added as an enhancement, and this was added to the roadmap since, remember, this was created by the author. We can take a look to that here. Um, so let's take a look to the roadmap. So this is in roadmap and then was added to the to do in. So if we open this as Canva, I'm going to make this a little less big so I can appreciate better. We have the to do, we have the in progress, and the done and the delayed. The future plan of Marfit in Sally Sans for class or tip. Consider build better plugin support. Sidebar, open a presentation with external window. Place sites, a lot of things here, and a lot of things in to do also. Support for CSS nesting correctly, as ESM build. Custom themes are not displayed after export if only .md file is open. Update CSS scoping powered by scope. Virtual scope improvement. Export command won't render image resource over live shared version. The color scheme update. New code highlighter. Improved set of export commands. Yeah, probably. Export PDF with presenter notes. The handouts. Watch mode doesn't watch all files. Consider an assigned of scoped import rule. Export the theme method. Okay, this roadmap is for what the author think it's the best for the project, right? So let's go back to the issues to see what else is coming up here, and if the author is the only one opening issues. Now, for example, this was opened by Jad on March 20, but on March 11, it has another thing from Duke of Gaming saying support for weak links. Weak links, I think I'm using Foam in VS Code, and I have been somewhat reluctant to use weak links. They do have practically and projects such as Cosma support this. I think a simple way to support this to blah blah blah. There's a discussion on here. So, for example, let's read the discussion. Add a directive to for a relative or absolute document root for the CLI could be based as document root flag. Resolve to the first markdown file found in the name inside. If there are two or more files in the same number, it's up to the user to resolve the ambiguity. The emergent feature with other tools like Foam, Cosma, or even Obsidian, it's that the one could visualize what other internal links this is referencing. PS, it would be nice if there was an official Obsidian plugin. Yeah. Yep. I kind of understand what this guy is saying. So, if you're not familiar with Obsidian, the core, or I think one of the main features of Obsidian is being able to um, see these links from document to documents and then how they relate themselves, and they even have like a node graph visualization for that, and you can see from node to node which of your words relate and how you talked about a specific topic in many parts. So I'm thinking this idea it's for doing kind of that, but for the slide deck. uh, I think that was the idea in my words translation, right? So map core it's based on the common mark and the standard spec of Markdown. The specification for weak link it's not defined in common mark, and it may bring low interoperability as the Markdown document. So we have no plans to implement weak link syntax. However, MARP it's also allows plugins in to add the syntax you need. A lot of Markdown it plugins to add Markdown syntax works also in MARP. So it will be worth to try using Markdown it weak links or other compatible plugins. MARP CLI can change the engine for converting Markdown into the code that has inject plugins as you like. So basically, the author's response was, and I don't know why he doesn't close this up, but um, the response was using weak links. Actually, we should open this for a little bit more context of what weak links is. Markdown weak links renders Wikimedia style links in Markdown. This is useful for Markdown-based wikis usage. Okay, let's open this. Okay, this is in Spanish, but I better try to find some resource in English. So weak links use double braces are commonly way to create internal links within documents, especially in Markdown-based systems like Obsidian and Foam. Yeah. Unlike standard Markdown links, weak links can be more consistent and easily navigate into the system graph and link suggestion. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So, yes, we're on the same page. I just didn't know they were called wiki links, um, so we can close these also. So yeah, basically the maintainer of the project says we are following common Markdown, and your Markdown implementation it's not specific in that. So for the moment, we don't have any plans on going that way. That's great. A really nice and also polite response to saying no. But also, he implements another solution. It says like, however, MARP also allows another plugins to the additional syntax you need. So a lot of Markdown it plugins. So we can add more Markdown flavors. To this can work with wiki links. There is Markdown it wiki links and another compatible plugins here. The only thing I was saying, it's like I don't get why then it he closes this. Why it was at state the next day of that. Maybe he's waiting for a reply from the author. So we can check the closed to see at what time. For example, this was on March 10 and it was closed for as the same label, like better for a plugin. So we're probably seeing something really similar here. The overview is that I like to propose a feature to enable fragmented code blocks in presentations, similar how we bullet points can be rebuilt incrementally. This will allow presenters to walk through code examples line by line without overwhelming the audience. The proposed solution is using data fragments, enable support for data attributes on code blocks to specify fragment behavior. The data fragment index attribute will define which lines appear on blah blah blah. A lot of related work. This is great because he adds some examples of what other um, projects are doing kind of the same benefits. Nice. Our team is reluctant to implement this because we don't want fragment animations to be overused. Reference presentation rules. This is interesting. Huh. Watching Right I Love Presentations Award, I also spent a reasonable amount of time learning and relearning from my own mistakes and crafting presentation. This post attempts to collate this together and remind myself and potentially share with others. For this post, I'm assuming a presentation is chosen for you. There are other approaches such as memos that are more sweetened premise rules. So this basically this blog post about how to write presentations. So, in the personal opinion of the author here, uh, they don't want to add fragment animations to be overused. Marpcos has an upper interface highlighter for applying the custom highlighter to implement fragments in the code block line by line. If you need, you can write it as a Marpit plugin to implement fragments into the code block. Something like this. Huh. Yeah, maybe he's waiting for the other dudes to reply and say like, okay, thank you, and that will be it. Yes, even the same author mark it as complete. So yeah, I was wondering why this wasn't added as complete, but hey, who am I to judge? More and more issues. No, we only have 12, and we just have checked three. Um, Magic's contextual menu and accessibility. Currently, it seems that Magix in Mark renders output and plain imbued SVG. Front matter variables. Howdy, I like to use front matter variables. Again, this was labeled for plugin. Uh, Normal code strings don't get highlighted correctly. This was already marked as upstream from the author. Support for merge cells in tables. Again, better response, better for plugging. What I'm getting from this is that the author has a very specific idea of the direction he wants to take the project to, right? And I'm meaning he and not the community because I think there's only he as a contributor, and well, that's completely valid, right? Module rendering discrepancy between inline and block elements. This was marked as a bug, but it has a lot of time. Um, New code highlighter. This is an enhancement, and it was opened by the same author. And also, this was opened a long time ago. Uh, Hatek Matblock without scaling with not aligning times correctly. This is also a bug. Largest presentation won't open in any iOS browsers. This is an upstream. Okay, so this conversation could be interesting because I see a lot of replies here. For example, this presentation, I'll link to that rendering version here. I won't open in any iOS, but opens in any other OS browser combination. Probably iOS browser that has less memories is making it crash by a lot of things. Um, saying additional in my iPhone set of tools to zooming into my slide by pinching your tool will make it crash. Update this issue will be fixed in an upcoming WebKit improvement. This was not part of the how to say it repo, no, the project. It was not a project problem. I just tried to open up my presentation in Firefox on my iPad, which was pretty new one. I believe the latest update of iOS and tries to open up, but then it crashed. Not with mobile. With iOS, it's overly cautious about the memory consumption. Thanks anyway. Well, okay, there are a lot of things of what this happened, but the problem says uh, this is not our problem. At least the crash is still securing original reported slide, so that's fine. So as you see, there is not much room for us here in the Marp core, right? Um, And another thing we get from this is like we are making ourselves an idea from the author, right? So we can now think of how we can start approaching to the problems, and not only like asking for things or reporting. If we try to add a new issue, the template say we can start a discussion. Uh, Please don't ask for support in GitHub issue. It's for tracking problems. Okay, yeah. Search exist issue, a blank issue, a book report, or just simply create a new issue, right? So, um, it's weird because I see the discussion. We recommend using GitHub discussion for asks to something, but there it's no option for it here. Maybe he forgot to do that. So we can close the Mark core since we didn't find anything for ourselves to contribute to. Also here, Mark core. Let's take a look to the CLI and how that it's great, right? So there are many other more contributors here. Uh, so this is basically in TypeScript, JavaScript, CSS again, the book, which is a HTML generator for if I remember, shell and Docker file, right? So let's again, well, first remember we need to get comfortable with the project. I think I mentioned it, but we didn't check this repo before. Uh, but yeah, CLI interface for MARP using MARP core and any slider converter based on MARPit framework. It can convert MARPit markdown files into static HTML, CSS, PDF, powerful document, and images easily. And this is a great animation for explaining that, right? We can try it now with npm exec. Uh, Container the image. You have to install one of Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or Mozilla Firefox to convert slides into deck, the slide deck into PDF, PTTX, and images. Uh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. But yeah, we have the Docker Hub, sorry, installed packages, locations, and basic usage. How to convert to HTML, how to convert to PDF. I already walked you through this. The outputs, bit PowerPoint images, and some express things to know about. So there are 17 issues here, five more than in the other. And let's experiment with this. How to contribute? Again, we are going to check the contribution guidelines once we find something, right? A accessibility issue cannot zoom with Control++. So that will be interesting. The SVG containers for MARP slides are set to 100% of the viewport and width and height. When one of my collaborators, who is legally blind with low vision, tries to zoom in her desktop computer using Control Plus, blah blah, the MARP slides did not change size because they rescale. Well, we understand that. And this was transferred by the author to MARP core on January 20. For supporting various screen sizes in the full screen presentation, HTML generated has to be precise in common. The zoom feature of the desktop browser. Oh yeah, yeah. We if we do this, yeah, I realized that before. It does not matter if we try to zoom a lot. The only thing that's zooming it's this here. Uh, hey, I didn't came up with this book before. Oh, I now am discovering this. That's interesting. In the common, the zoom feature of the desktop browser, blah blah blah, will zoom the HTML content, but it will not zoom the size of the actual visible viewport. And there is not a stable way to get the current zoom level of desktop browser. So unfortunately, scaling this slide along with the browser zoom, it's difficult. And he proposed workarounds use zoom feature by OS accessibility. Yes, I agree with that. Like we can just zoom. Um, what's the zoom feature? Well, that you got it right. View zoom, zoom text only, Safari, pinch gesture on the trackpad or touchscreen, recommended bar, blah blah blah. One idea I've tried, still not perfect, but maybe it works to someone else. It's to the specific width and height to the SVG. Huh. Do you think it is the sound skill with Switch useful to provide presenter interface like Slide App? If set it to fit by default, the set will fit the viewport overview to one. And some interesting things here. Oh, that is an interesting solution for sure. I end up creating a similar tool for our case with its default to fit, blah blah blah. Okay, this was interesting, but again, it's not something we can work with. But I don't know how I didn't notice that before. I mean, like for reporting that. Uh, yes, Chrome doesn't generate correct PDF slides for morph themes with text shadow and custom background. So if we take a look to the labels, we see that the author just love the upstream. Like a problem that's not for the repo, but hey, we get it and we share your pain, right? Add HTML head of metadata icon customization. This is an enhancement, but this was reported more than a year ago. Let's see why these haven't been uh, published or it doesn't have like an how to say this? Sorry, a pull request associated yet. It should be nice to add a directives to set the 5 icon for HTML slide decks. So here I don't have a 5 icon, right? The author replies says related was found for the marked court. So we can open that related discussion and we said it may be provided as part of the metadata directives provided by the CLI. However, there's already many directives in MARP, and adding more directives may overwhelm beginners. So Martin is his decision to implement that. Pull request from community is welcome. Yes. Tab bookmark icon. It's about as prominent as the tab bookmark title. So I think having title means we should have also icon. Okay, no idea why this hasn't been a contribution yet, but this was here. How to define this title and description directive. We have not yet provided a set custom path for 5 output uses. HTML output, it's not primary feature for us. General suggestion, you can set the icon by putting 5 icon in the root directory of your domain that is hosted marp slide. We have not yet provided set a custom path for 5 icon because HTML, okay, again, we got it. General suggestion, you can set the icon by putting 5 icon to the root directory of your domain, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for the quick response. Add suggestion, it's good for me. I think it will work for HTML output scenario. It works for me. Okay, interesting. So I think this is open. I mean, well, in the MARP team, the discussion it's completed. That's a great feature. Let's see how we can do that. Also, we have 30 minutes until we start our session, our next session. So we got our first idea, which is adding the feature to add a fab icon. How easy will that be? I'm not sure. Are we willing to take the risk? Yes, we are. So I'm going to save these two, and I'm going to the presenter view. We can see this also, the enhancement preview window. Oh, preview window not fully supports when previewing over 100 pages. Yeah, I need more info about that. Can use server auto reloader when not running on localhost. Um, Feature request overview mode in bespoke template. Adobe multi-screen window placement API. Watch mode doesn't watch on files. Export PDF with presenter notes. The theme cannot be a URL. Fragment the list does not export animation in PowerPoint. Detect the title of the deck from first slide when title option is not passed. Okay, I think also we can work on this. Option to disable current slide preview in the presenter view. Greetings. The presenter view has already assigned to make current slide be hidden by moving splitter to the left side. Idea, how about remembering the splitter position to the browser? Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, I understand this differently, but we can delete that. Detect the deck from the first slide when title option is not passed. And this exported HTML slide deck does not come with that. You can use warp CLI title lower directly until implementing this. Yeah, this is the one we have. I see. Thank you for the help. Yeah, we can work on this also. Oh my god. Huh, perfect. So we have many options now. We take a look at this. We take a look to the maps CLI. In the MARP CLI, here also. Let's check the title. Export does not come with title. So what they are saying, for example, that happened to me also as well. Here the title for the HTML, it's the name of this, the file, the URL, but I can add something called the title here. Um, and this can be just MLH as global Hedwig OS week. And once we have this, we can generate this with the I'm sorry, with the CLI tool, and I generate this HTML. Yeah, now it's generated. If I refresh this, you will see the title was added. But if I don't add this title, the feature should be that if not added, it will take the first H1 and take it as title, right? Does it make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. So I like that feature. It was proposed by the author actually, so I think that's great. Add metadata. While we work with that, we probably can add 5 ICO also as well. So I think we can do that. I think it's simpler, the title, but hey, we can close this also. We can close this. So now we have our repo, right? Now we can start reading the contribution guidelines. So we want to contribute. Remember, we examine our open issues. We examine the enhancement. We didn't have the help wanted here, but we saw that this is a desired function from the author, and so it's our task. So we choose our two small tasks to medium to start making these contributions, right? So again, we fork and clone it. We do our local build. We have this project completely working in our local environment. But first, we read the documentation, right? So, contribution to MARP projects. Thank you for taking the time to read and how to contribute to our project. This is the basic guideline for contributing to our MARP team on the projects. You can start contributing our project in several ways: improve documentation, report bugs, request a feature, write in code, and so on, right? Depending on the project you want to contribute, it might have additional guidelines for you to follow on the repository. Please also check the guideline per repository. So let's take a look to this specifically to see if we have any specific guideline here. But let's start also reading this. We have a code of conduct, the contributor conduct and code of conduct. We are familiar with this. Not block. We are familiar with this, so we are fine. In all the repositories managed by the MARP team, our position for simplicity and log maintainability of the ecosystem, MARP team is focusing to just experience this slide authoring. The team members should avoid bringing scope creep and vaulted. I don't know what that is. Project scope in the ecosystem. If not, the ecosystem will end up burning out, just like a former MARP app. What's this? It was archived. It's time to move it into MARP next. The publication of classic MARP app has ended. MARP desktop app, a simple markdown presentation writer, has stopped maintaining since 2017. Today, MARP team is focusing into the MARP Next project, a brand new presentation ecosystem for the future. Why we have kept publishing app for stock users that are thinking MARP Next it's too complex. But recently, we received a serious security report for outdated app. By opening malicious markdown, an attacker can execute arbitrary code to remote. Wow, that's that's heavy. Okay, we can close that. Architecture. Figure of the left shows the whole architecture of the MARP system. Yellow arrows are meaning dependencies. MARPit it's the center of the ecosystem, and the dependent framework for developers. So it's designed suitable for not only MARP but also as other side libraries. See examples of collaboration with Reveal.js and WebSlides. You're probably using MARP Core if you are creating a slide deck with MARP. It includes building themes, setting that suit for MARP tools, and markdown extensions that break common mark. Most of Mark apps, CLI, web and desktop, and integrations we are creating based on Mark Core. Mark CLI is a precious exception that supports Marbit based converted for power users. Uh, okay, question. Please support if you like to ask any question, report the issues, feature request, pull request. You can submit pull request if you have fixed or added useful something to our projects before adding a new feature. Martin, it's not proactive for enhancing our syntax because the custom markdown flavor may make users confusion and protest who are familiar with existing Markdown common Markdown syntax. We are always suggesting use or create a third-party plugin if you want, rather than adding new syntax. For implementing new syntax and a new feature to official tools, we require able to confirm we're a true and created third-party plugin and made real-world presentations using it. We will consider integrating Superior as built-in feature in most of Mark community shows that are using the plugin. It's available. With first issue, there are a lot of information here, but no August first issue was marked on. Requirements in pull request indicate related issues in description. In many cases, they create PRs who already have related problems. It can close the issue automatically by keyword, keep code styling, run format right, linkers, okay, maintain tests if you need to find a coverage, okay. For maintainer, these are tasks for maintainer, and usually committers don't have to worry if there's a changelog, okay, release the core maintainer, okay, perfect. So we just need to take a look if there is a specific contribution. Oh my god, I opened this site. Don't want to. Sorry. Let's take a look to contributing. Okay, are you interested? Please see contributing and the comment contributing line. Okay, we already covered this, but we still need this one, right? Are these are not the same? Yeah, these are not the same. So we can close this. We get the idea on the other. Uh, Contributing to MARP CLI. Thank you for taking the time to read how to contribute to MARP CLI. This is the guideline for contributing to MARP CLI. We are following contributing guidelines for MARP team projects. You have to read this before starting working. I get it. Table of contents, development, npm run build, npm run watch. Used build version, used marp CLI instead of marp comments, standalone binary, debug. If you have any troubleshoot, you can use marp debug. Filter debug by log namespace. Full debug log includes this. Okay, there's no complicated information in here. I just want to make sure that the ones. Okay, this is the title of the text. It will be a good thing to fill the title converted HTML automatically from the heading of the title slide when title option and title global directive it's not passed. So this is great. The other cinema tool also has a plan for autofilling the title. MDX deck. Okay, so we can take a look at this to see how they do it, or if they already resolved that. Okay, perfect. It was closed. Have no clue of what this is, but hope you get super popular. Just signed up on Twitch. You're the first person I follow in. Hey, thank you so much. Uh, well, this is not me as an individual. I am streaming from the Major League Hacking. So we are the global hacker community. You can take a look to mlh.io to see what's happening with us. I don't know if you're a student or if you're already a professional, but I'm sure you can find a really nice fit in the community. This series of streaming, well, this stream I'm doing, it's part of a series. I mean, like, yeah, there are a lot that we call the Global Hack Week. In the Global Hack Week, we try to explain a specific topic. Here it's the open source week, so we're talking about open source, but we also have weeks for artificial intelligence, for cloud, for I don't know, data, for beginners, and what else? AP weeks, like API weeks. But yeah, so welcome. I really like you stop by to drop a comment here. So, suggestion use first slides as HTML title. Or we programmers are lazy, done blah 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 blah. Open to use the entire first slide as text. Coming in version 3. The text title, okay. Hey, can you close it? Okay, this was here. Rewritten as a Gatsby theme, currently blah blah blah. Any component can be shown to create the current Gatsby theme. Start right Gatsby theme. What's this? Okay, I will keep this as reference, but I'm not sure if I want this. MDX deck. What's this? Award winning React MDX based presentation decks. Oh, this is for. Okay, yeah, I get it. Build status, everything fine. Great presentations in Markdown. Import and use React components. Customizable themes and components. Zero conflict CLI. Presenter notes. Blah blah blah. Using MDX, there are some themes, components, third-party libraries, layouts, presenter mode. Yeah, I get the idea here. Um, the only thing I'm not getting is why this is on Marp CLI and it is not on Core or even in Marpit. I mean, I am not sure about that, and I still not get. But hey, let's make a really quick pause. We are 10 minutes from our next session. I need to drink some water. I need to make the announcement for the part two, and I need to change stream, right? Just for this to not be too long, right? So let's take this quick break. It will be 10 minutes, and I will see you for the part two, where we are going to start writing some code now that we found our yeah or project or problem, sorry, the project I and came up with that. Actually, I had a backup plan. I found like issue on the Marbit framework for doing documentation enhancement, but hey, it's more exciting to actually run code than just adding documentation examples, right? So we managed to do that on the first part. Then let's make the changes to actually do that on the second part, right? So be back